Rob Bussey, I see you in the audience. I'm going to try to promote you to a panelist. Oops, hopefully I did that. Okay, welcome everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Thursday. I'm Rob Henley. I'm the co-founder and CEO here at Ally Security. I'm going to share one or two slides before we turn things over to Stuart and get into the exercise. So just want to walk through a quick agenda of what we're going to cover today. Tell you a little bit about what Tabletop Thursday is all about, how this works, and then I'll hand it over to Stuart. At the end, we are going to have a survey, and also you'll be able to access the exercise report. So keep an eye out for that post-exercise. But we're happy to welcome you. This is our 8th rendition of Tabletop Thursdays. This is one of our largest crowds, so we're excited to host you for some cyber fun today. For background, we run these exercises about once a month. We bring in a guest facilitator. Today we have Stuart here, who's going to guide us. We let them showcase their methods, their best practices, and also some cool tools to guide the exercise process. Today we'll be playing a fictitious company, so keep that in mind. This is all made up, but it's based on real world happenings, things that have actually happened to real organizations. Most importantly, have fun, ask questions, engage in the chat. So zone in, turn off your Slack, and let's have some fun. Quick disclaimer, we are recording this, so please keep that in mind. How is this going to work today? So Stuart is going to reveal an inject. We have a voting mechanism, and Josh, if you don't mind dropping that in the chat for everybody now. Everybody will vote on their decision. The panelists here will discuss, and then we'll reveal the votes and show everybody how the company's doing. And let me tell you, it's not going to be pretty. So, and like I said at the end, we will do a little recap, and then post-exercise, you'll get your report, and we'll also do the survey. So with that, I want to introduce everybody to the players. We'll go around the room here with our panelists and just have them do a quick intro. If you could state your real name, who you're playing today, and then read your tagline and backstory. And we'll leave this up here for the audience to read as well as we go through. So why don't we start with you, Dara?
My name is Dara Gibson, and I am coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona, where I am a virtual CISO and a cyber insurance broker by day trade and a mom by night. Today, I'm playing the role of Victoria Slimwell. I am the CEO, and I believe that confidence always comes first. Details, they're little and should come later. I have worked as a pharma CEO for many, many years, and I am steadfast in leadership, crisis, and sharp instinct in the market. So stay with us today and learn how I am the greatest CEO of this organization.
Fantastic. Why don't we go down to Rob Bussey? Rob, you're muted if you're talking.
There we go. Hi, everyone. Rob Bussey, Fellsway Group, VCSO and lead consultant. I am down here in sunny, beautiful Florida. It's about 80 degrees right now, so don't hate me. I will be playing the role of CISO, and I believe that certainty beats speed. I am a career security leader that inherited a fragile legacy environment. I think we've all been there. And I've been warned about these risks for many months. I have zero tolerance for shortcuts. I speak in worst case scenarios. I will trade uptime for certainty, and I'm allergic to premature declarations.
All right. We'll keep that all in mind. Over to you, Joe.
Hey, everybody. My name's Joe Tinney. I'm hailing here from Ohio, so the opposite of where Robert is hailing from almost. Quite cold. Um, I'm playing Max Hall, Senior Vice President of Operations. I believe that uptime is patient care. I'm a global supply chain veteran who knows every route and warehouse by heart. I measure in uptime and not in cyber risk. So if my systems go down, you better watch out. I'm coming for you.
All right. Thomas?
Yeah, thanks. Thomas Ritter, hailing from Nashville, Tennessee. I am a privacy and cybersecurity attorney by day and a father who these days gets less and less sleep by night, parenting two small children. And today I'll be playing the role of general
It doesn't get
counsel.
any better as they get older, by the way.
Thanks for the optimism, Dara. I will be playing the role of the general counsel, Patty Claus. My tagline is "Silence is safer than apologies." I am hyper precise with language, so I don't want to hear anyone using the word breach until we have to. Regulators haunt my dreams. I want all of communications to run through me before we put out any of those, trusty holding statements about what we know and when we know it. And I'm keeping a mental lawsuit ledger up here in my brain at all times.
All right. Clara, aka Scout.
All right, I am Scout Harlow. By day, I am Rob's co-founder here at Ally. I absolutely do not have a medical background, but today I'm playing Dr. Clara Dosage. My tagline is, if one patient is harmed, we failed. And my backstory is I'm a practicing endocrinologist turned executive. So I'm trusted by regulators and advocacy groups alike. My character traits are patient safety above business, of course, ethically uncompromising. I force hard moral decisions and will make you feel bad about yourself. And I will halt systems for safety.
All right. Very good. With all that, I'm going to turn it over to Stuart and we're going to get into this thing.
Brilliant.
Do we have the voting all set? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, excellent. I'm just going to introduce myself as well. Obviously, first of all, we've got 50 people here at the moment. So this is amazing, guys. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. You're busy at work. I'm over in Ireland here, so we're just finished work. So this is international. So yeah, we look forward to a few more of these. And someday we'll have 1,000 of you guys on one of these calls. And you're really going to get to see what the consensus is on the voting. So obviously this application you see in front of you was written by me, so it's terrible, but it does its job. It's going to allow you all to vote on independent parts of this simulation, and I need your feedback. This audience panelists here are going to be the ones who are going to comment on decisions that are going to be made, the good, the bad, and the ugly, etc. But when we come to an inject, what I'm looking for you guys to do as a participation is simply to pull out your phone, go to the URL, and choose the decision, and along with your confidence. If you don't have confidence because you haven't been around those types of incidents, select that. So we're looking for that, and we'll talk about the results, etc. So what I'll do is I will navigate from inject to inject, and we'll have you finished up in 51 minutes from now. I'm terrible at timekeeping, but I promise we'll be done by then. And what we're trying to do is over on the right-hand side of the screen, we're actually trying to make the decisions that are going to balance the impacts. So you are going to vote, and the most votes will be our decisive decision to take forward. But whatever that decision is will come with a cost. It will come with an impact to this organization. And that can be in terms of brand, money values, and so on. So be very careful with the decisions. Don't just think, well, I'll pick the one my boss would pick. So I want you guys to balance those competing objectives between protecting our brand, keeping operations, but also not spending, so much on the incident that we have a financial issue. So all that said, all you guys got to do now is just we'll go through the narrative, we'll get the questions out, and then you guys will do the voting as we go along. So with that, I just have a bit of AI slop here, as we call it. This is just a video, but this is our company, Novapeptide, that's been hit by the cyber attack. So we're really just trying to set the scene here, give you guys a bit of background, and I'll explain all the context in the next slide.
Good morning, everyone. As you know, we're facing the most serious incident in Novapeptide's history. Our logistics systems are down. 342 vehicles carrying medication for diabetic patients are stranded across Europe, and we have threat actors who claim they've stolen records belonging to 340,000 of our patients. The decisions we make in the next 96 hours will determine whether patients get their medication, whether their data stays protected, and frankly, whether this company survives. I need your expertise. I need your honest input. No idea is off the table, and no concern is too small to raise. We're going to work through this together, one decision at a time. Let's begin. Okay, you heard we have 4 injects, guys. You got the context of the interruption. These injects are going to be aligned to containing the incident, eradication, and recovery. So with that, let's move along. At T0, so here we are at the beginning. At T0, we've got 6:47 Central Time on a Monday morning. The Novapeptide Distribution Operations Center in Rotterdam received the first of what will become 127 calls from delivery drivers across Europe, reporting that their handheld scanning devices were displaying a ransom message instead of delivery manifests. By 7:15, distribution manager Peter Vanderberg confirmed that Novologic's logistics management platform was completely encrypted, displaying a demand for 450 Bitcoin, or 18.2 million euro, from a group identified themselves as PharmaCrypt. The immediate impact is severe. 342 refrigerated delivery vehicles are currently stationary across 14 countries, carrying an estimated of 4.3 million euro in temperature-sensitive glucoplex inventory. Cold chain integrity monitoring shows that without active refrigeration management, products will begin to degrade within 6 to 8 hours. Warehouse management systems at both Dublin and Rotterdam facilities are also encrypted, preventing any new shipments from being prepared. Your security operations team, your SOC, have done an initial triage, revealing that the Novologic's application server, Novalog01, through Novalog08, in the Rotterdam data centers are confirmed encrypted. The attack appears to have propagated through the logistics network segment, but lateral movement scope is currently unknown. The SAP server connectivity is intermittent. Some modules are responding, others are timing out. Manufacturing control systems at both plants appear operational but cannot receive shipping instructions. The ransom note includes a Tor link to a website that has a leak site preview showing directory listings of what they claim is exfiltrated data, including folder names like patient prescription records, pharma partner contracts, clinical trial protocols. The note states that the publication will begin in 72 hours if payment is not received, with health records of 340,000 diabetic patients specifically mentioned. The context is today is the first day following the New Year period. Many patients will be running low on their weekly injections. Your customer service queue already shows 2,400 pending refill requests from pharmacies that are expecting Monday delivery orders. The European Medicines Agency requires notification of supply disruptions without undue delay under Article 23 Regulation 726/2004. So, what are we looking from you guys at this point? This is the audience now. You guys are going to help us with the decision about what we're going to do at this moment in time. Once you guys do the voting over the next 60 seconds, we'll close the voting. We'll look at the consensus of what decision we're moving forward with. And our panelists here are going to talk about the consequences relating to the decisions that are there. So, while you are voting, what we can do is we can turn over to our facilitators that are here, and we can discuss some of the consequences that they would see from the choices that are available. So the first thing I would look at is option one, implementing an immediate full isolation of the logistics network. So obviously big business disruption. Or number two, perform a surgical isolation targeting only 8 encrypted NovaLogic servers, maintaining cold chain monitoring connectivity while accepting more risks. Or implement a monitoring first approach, deploy network sensors and monitor traffic, and just understand what can happen. And if you see anything, contain. Or isolate the logistics segment from the corporate networks, but maintain its internet connectivity, allowing cold chain and fleet systems to continue operating while blocking lateral movement to SAP and other internal systems. So I'm going to turn over to our team. I guess in no particular order, I'm going to be looking for the most senior people to give their view on what we should be concerned about at this point in time. So obviously we've got our CEO here. So we're obviously going to have to turn to our CEO, who will have the first thoughts on what's important here, what do we have to think about, and the rest of the team can come in with their opinions and thoughts. So CEO, what are we thinking? What are our main concerns that we need to be aware of as we have these decisions?
I'm very concerned about our downtime of financial impact, our business interruption. Here we are at the beginning of the new year, and people are starting their new injections to meet their new weight loss goals. If we're not able to meet those expectations for our customers, we are losing customers, and they are losing their confidence in us as an organization, and that's very impactful for our bottom line of our financial impact.
Excellent. All right. So obviously, from the point of view of the CEO, we're conscious and aware of some of those priorities. But what about from the operations side? What do we gotta be concerned about here, that as we're trying to balance our customer care costs? So from an operations point of view, what do we think is a priority, Joe?
You know, I can't believe after all the money we've spent on IT that we can't keep these trucks rolling. I just want to express my frustration first and foremost with the people of this organization that I put my trust in to get these deliveries done on time. Now, that being said, if we don't get these trucks online as soon as possible so they can get back on the road, we're going to have a real problem. We got about 6 hours before this product expires, and we lose complete faith of our clients. I'm concerned with the safety of the product that's on the road, and I'm concerned with my driver's safety being able to safely navigate to their next destination.
Okay. What about information security point of view? What's our CISO got to, what are some of your priorities now, and do those priorities compete?
Yeah, absolutely. I would be focused on operational continuity, containment discipline, and honest risk acceptance at this point. So from a CISO perspective, I would be leaning more towards surgical isolation. We know which systems are encrypted, and we know that losing cold chain visibility creates immediate patient harm.
So can't we just move along and solve what we're looking at? We need to just move this along and get back up operational. To Joe's point, we can't have our trucks just sitting around doing nothing. My employees need to be doing stuff as well.
You're just on mute there.
Scout, you're muted.
You're mute.
So upsetting. It was such a good line. I was just saying, we can't leave patients without injections. Does anyone even have a clue what that is going to do to their health, their mental well-being? I didn't think so. We are not even thinking about that. This needs
What
to be a
legal-
priority.
100%. So what legal consequences do we need to balance in with the patient care? We've heard these concerns not from an operational point of view, but from a legal point of view, what are we thinking about right now to protect patients, protect the business? What is the priority?
Yeah, I mean, I think the proverbial clock is ticking, right? First and foremost, in terms of business interruption, I mean, of utmost priority needs to be ensuring that we can provide the requisite level of patient care that the company prides itself on. But then beyond that, where my legal mind goes is good stuff like evidence preservation, wanting to ensure that, at this point, we're implementing and enacting our incident response plan. I know we've got, requisite stakeholders across the organization involved in this, but are we needing to think through putting our insurance carrier on notice, right? And ensuring that we're doing so in a timely fashion. So it's really all hands on deck at this point. And I largely agree with everyone's viewpoint that we need to just ensure that we get the business back up and running. But I want to take a very nuanced approach to ensure that we do that in a manner where we aren't, obfuscating or, proceeding with lack of caution that could result in legal liability on down the road, whether it be regulatory scrutiny or, class action lawsuits and the such.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. So that we're also seeing some of the ancillary crisis leadership, the kind of second line of defense commenting in the chat as well. So obviously, if this incident was happening, we'd have our executives here, the crisis leadership team, but we'd probably also have a wider, response team, which is our chat there talking about what about GDPR, what about other concerns. So all these competing worries will be coming into play. What's really a question here is, do we have a risk tolerance for the bad guy continuing to make the situation worse? Like, they've made a bad problem, but if we don't shut everything down, they could make it even worse by stealing even more data. So do we have a view of kill it all, stop the bleeding completely, or no, like operations is more important. We'll figure out all the data leakage afterwards. And that's the competing concerns that we have. So we've got 29 votes. Could I get to that 30? Could I just squeeze that last one drop out of you guys? And then we'll try and use 30 as our benchmark, as our benchmark moving forward. There we go. Good question, David. What are the backup options? Are there any? So that would be obviously, our CISO would be banging the door with IT in terms of that type of question here at this point. And that's going to be around the recovery side for sure. All right. So we've got our votes in. Now, as we look over here, we start to see where the majority of the votes were. So really the consensus here was actually in isolate the logistics segment from the corporate networks, but maintain its internet connectivity, allowing cold chain and fleet systems to continue operating while blocking lateral movement to SAP and other internal systems. So really what folks here chose was the option D. Now, the interesting thing was around the confidence level. So we see the 30 respondents, but we see where you guys were. So remember, during a cyber incident, everybody's going to be brought with a certain level of background in their respective areas, and they're going to have certain levels of confidence relating to the decisions they want to take. It's a very valuable metric for us to be aware of, because it not only reflects they may not have the experience, but it may actually just be, I don't know how we do this in this company. I don't know how we block things or how we do anything from a cyber point of view. So it may just be an awareness and knowledge thing. So here we see moderately confident and good levels of confident, and then highly confident, but more around the confident area, with a mix of moderately confident being the dominant part. So this kind of is a typical curve for an audience that we have here. we'd expect, if you were all from the same business, we'd expect it to be all around the level 5, right? Kind of, we know our stuff, we know our environment and whatever. So this helps me understand that you guys picked this option, but you're concerned about some of the consequences that may result of this. So isolating certain segments is a big business disruption and will have forensics costs, will have, like, you need to bring in specialists to help do all of this segmentation, and it's going to be messy, right? If you're just monitoring, you don't need to touch anything, so it's not messy. It doesn't disrupt the business. So we went for this option, but now obviously we've got a penalty. So we see our disruption costs went up here. Obviously, as you guys can see, there's no commas. My wife has told me twice that I need to change this code, that it has commas there, because no one can read this properly. So I do apologize. That's 500,000 euro. So we start to see that we're racking up large legal fees to help us deal with the fact that we are potentially exposing more data. But we've done this in a way that we feel that we're segmenting out the network. So we've got our fees coming up, and we've got our disruptions relating to that choice that we made. So our job now is to try and make decisions to keep these values down. Some may go up, but in the reality, these are the values that happen during a normal cyber attack that ends up on the news. You're going to have these factors that are increasing as the decisions are being made. So situation now, few hours later, it's 11 a.m. So, or as we'd like to call it, eternity has passed. The situation has escalated significantly. This is Inject 2, the infection spreads. Your forensics team, working alongside the newly arrived external IR consultants. So you've brought in some incident response teams to bolster up. Our CISO has, pulled his retainer activation, got some people in. Cyber Shield partners. So one of the CISO's favorite third-party IR firm. And they discovered evidence that the compromise extends pretty far back in time, right? And it also extends into the logistics infrastructure. So now we have this, we found it here in our main environment, but we've now found it in other places. So what does that mean? Does that mean like we have to think this is getting worse, or containment needs to be even more aggressive? The key findings the past 4 hours. So initial access occurred 18 days ago via a service account. So this is just an account that's used for making an application run or some script, and it's within our enterprise delivery applications and integrations. The account had excessive privileges, including domain admin rights, a legacy configuration from a 2019 system migration that was never remediated. Oops. The threat actor deployed Cobalt strike beacons. These are pieces of malicious software that let them come back into the computer whenever they want, on 14 additional systems across the network, including 2 of their domain controllers, which are the computers used for logging in, for authenticating, and the SAP ERP application server cluster, and critically, the patient server database, which hosts prescription fulfillment systems. Network analysis shows lots of data was left out of the network, 847 gigabytes. So our legal team is going to be curious about that. It was leaked out to 3 different cloud storage systems over the last 12 days. The exfiltration included confirmed transfers from database backup locations and file transfer containing regulatory submissions. The ransomware deployment was triggered this morning at 6:30 a.m., but encrypted systems represented only a subset of the compromised infrastructure, and the attackers retain active access to unencrypted systems, including our domain controllers. Meanwhile, operational pressure is intensifying. 3 pharmacy chains, representing 1/3 of our business and distribution, have issued formal supply chain disruption notices and are activating clauses to source from competitors. Patient complaints are flooding social media with the hashtag glucoplex shortage trending in Germany, obviously. Your cold chain inventory assessment confirms that 78 of the 342 stranded vehicles now show temperature excursions, meaning about €1 million worth of products must be destroyed under pharmaceutical regulations. The CEO has called for an emergency meeting. Your CISO is pushing hard for complete network isolation. potentially including the manufacturing systems. But the VP of Operations warns that halting production will create a 3-week supply gap affecting 340,000 patients. Chief Medical Officer has raised concerns about patient safety if insulin-dependent diabetic patients cannot access GLP-1 medications. And the pharmacrypt have sent a follow communication. These are the bad guys. We see your forensics team poking around. The clock is ticking. Every hour you delay, we release 100K or 10K patient records. First batch goes live. So they're threatening you via email or phoning. I've been on the receiving end of those. So now, guys, we're going to turn over to our executive leadership team. We're going to start maybe with our Chief Information Security Officer to talk a little bit about what would be his concerns right now that he's communicating to the CEO, Chief Legal, and others. What are we thinking about in terms of some of the competing priorities and what we want to get done now? That could be relating to, detecting the bad guy, isolating the bad guy, helping IT restore, planning, you name it. What is it? What is it that we can do and help with right now?
Yeah, great question. I mean, at this point, segmentation alone is insufficient. As long as the attacker can impersonate us, every connected system is at risk. So given that we have a confirmed domain compromise and persistent access, I now recommend tiered containment, air gapping manufacturing and critical patient systems, aggressive credential invalidation, and accepting a temporary production impact to stop attacker control. Continuing partial connectivity at this stage increases the risk of patient harm and long-term trust loss.
Excellent. Okay. So I suppose from the legal point of view then, what are some of the ways that we can advise the CEO and other parts of the C-suite about concerns that we need to think about protecting, or things we need to think that are coming down the road, or really what are your key priorities from the legal side?
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. I mean, first and foremost, we need to be putting our heads together to formulate an effective communication strategy on a number of fronts, right? One, with our business partners, with our distribution centers, as the prompt stated, we're getting questions from pharmacies that are prepared to turn to our competitors. So a lot of nuance in terms of what we share, what we know, and when we share that, I think we're at the point where we need to share with them something. It's just a matter of going about and doing that in a very tactful way that doesn't increase our overall legal risk. I also think too, we need to probably initiate a work stream around providing formal notice. I know in the chat people brought up GDPR, but it might be time that we start thinking about providing notice to the requisite supervisory authority under GDPR. We have significant concerns that this might not just it does meet the level of a security incident pursuant to how that's defined in GDPR, but with each increasing, period of time and new facts that are coming to light, my suspicion is that we're going to meet the requisite breach definition of GDPR, which would then require us to put appropriate regulatory authorities on notice.
Gotcha. So what about from our Chief Medical Officer versus the competing needs of our operations teams? So
well,
can I get that?
obviously, we need to be focused on patient safety. And I'm concerned that there are going to be patients without their injections. So how can we help mediate that situation? I don't really understand anything that's happening technical, so I care way less about that. I'm more concerned about making sure that people are dependent on this medication, are receiving this medication, whether that means we're delivering it or we are partnering with potentially a competitor to make sure that it is delivered. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm going to throw it out there.
So one of the options is a 3-week, a kind of really reducing risk, but having a 3-week production halt, right? So these are options where you're kind of really being able to say, I'm really confident bad guy can't keep doing stuff, because I've really taken the most extensive, containment measures. And then as we go down through the other options, it's more about accepting more risk, and balancing, the operational part. So from our ops team, do we feel as though it's easy for us to know the resiliency capabilities of our systems? A lot of legacy, interconnected, all logistics, different vendors. Like, do we really have the confidence to know if we start shutting down, or having to rebuild systems, that we know how to bring those all back safely? What are our views on kind of accepting or balancing time where production is being halted, versus the reality that the business can't tolerate after a point? So from an ops point of view, do you feel as though that's something that businesses are able to do easy? Like they know that? They know that type of information? Yeah, of course we can live X period of time without, systems running.
That's a great question. I think most businesses, and then certainly ours being one of them here, is that these are unprecedented times. We talk about these exercises in theory, but I've never had to imagine actually shutting down, all the systems and all the connections. We've been building this for years and years. We've never had a central incident before where we've had to pull all the levers at the same time. I've been on the phone for the past 4 hours with my staff. I can tell you, employee morale is plummeting as we go through here, and certainly thinking of a 3-week delay, and thinking of the manpower issues that we might have. We need to consider how we're going to treat the staff. Will they be laid off? Will they continue to receive a regular paycheck? 25% of my trucks are already heading back with product that has to be destroyed. So we've created a significant supply chain issue here, and I really don't know how we can make a decision that would create a further gap down the road.
Yeah. And my last question before I look for the final is, how much convincing would need to be done to get this senior leadership team to be bought into the idea of not containing by isolating, but by trusting a third-party security tool to do all the blocking? That is going to be something, as you make these decisions, which do you think is the one that is balancing capability? Like obviously, if we know the old when you disconnect the internet, you disconnect all the services, you're no longer connected, bad guy can't connect. So we feel as though the risk goes down. But could the business say, you know what, we've got advanced security technology nowadays, we can do this with a lot of coordination and experts? So that's why I'm going to look for you guys voting on here. So I just want to see if we can get from 22 to 30, and then we'll reveal the decision that we're moving forward with. So I'm looking for those last 8 votes, if I can get them from you guys.
Well, we made a huge financial impact across the ecosystem by buying that tool about 6 months ago. And we've got those strong AI components that are in that tool for defending and responding to those systems. So why can't my security team utilize the tool that I paid for to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing? I believe that we put these resilience practices into play through our incident response plan, which we also practiced and paid for people to participate in. And we need to make sure that this is working to the benefit. I have a board meeting tomorrow that I have to report and give them their updated list. And if I'm supposed to tell them that they're 3 weeks down on their board decisions and their financial impact of that, it's not going to go over well with the board. And to Joe's point, I'm going to have to start laying people off.
Okay, these are a lot of competing challenges. Certainly seems like we need a lot of expertise. I hope we already had those expertise there. Obviously, the CISO went with Cyber Shield, someone he trusts. And obviously, from the CISO side, are you do you feel as though you have what you need? Do we need to bring in more experts in the areas of cyber from the CISO side, or do we feel as though we have enough? Like, what do you want more investments in security technologies right now, or is it more of a no, we can do it with the processes we have? You know, we're a tested environment. We know these controls.
Yeah, having been through this before, I mean, at this point, we would be engaging with cyber insurance, right? We'd be obligated to do that. And with that, we get some of that forensics and capabilities and help that we would need. So I haven't seen anything where cyber insurance came in at this point yet, but this is a confirmed incident, and we would probably be engaging with them for some
Well,
of
and
that.
if we engage with our cyber insurance program, they will actually help pay for business interruption, which will, again, cause us to pause on that layoff situation and give our board of directors that has hesitant, that, back off situation so we can actually utilize that cyber insurance policy. So, Patty Claus, can we ask you to go to our insurance company and do it under privilege?
Yeah, that's a great point, Mrs. Gibson. Yes, I mean, we would be, liaising with our broker, right? And the broker would serve as initially the intermediary between us and the insurer. The insurer, as people have mentioned, is going to provide, additional resources, i.e., forensics, legal counsel. I know we've already got some forensics in place, but it's important that all of this be documented and done in an appropriate manner. And what I mean by that is that, whomever we hire or legal hires on our behalf is working at the behest of legal so that we can assert, as you mentioned, CEO, attorney-client privilege under the ensuing forensic findings.
Right.
And do we also
Fantastic.
need to include outside external counsel, or do we already have it covered with Patty Claus?
No, I mean, I think that would be an area where we're going to want outside external counsel to really bolster the argument that attorney-client privilege is in place, right? As general counsel, it's hard for me to serve, the business as a disinterested party when, the business itself is paying me as an employee. So I think it would behoove the company and protect its legal interest to engage external counsel and have external counsel retain forensics on our behalf. So as I said, we can really put our best foot forward on trying to assert that there should be privilege under the ensuing forensic work stream.
Okay. Fantastic. Hopefully you can still see my screen okay there. I was just trying to open up the roles of our different team members. All right, so as we move on here, where have we decided? We've gone very concretely with implementing a tiered containment. Okay, so folks are like, let's not pull the brakes straight away. Let's do fully isolating the corporate and logistics network, but air gap manufacturing systems, while allowing autonomous production with the manual inventory tracking. So really kind of a tiered approach there. I'm seeing high levels of confidence. You can see the confidence also jumped up from the last vote from 3.2 to 3.7. So either folks are getting more confident just in general with as we're progressing along here with the decisions, or they probably have heard of what's being asked here in the past. All right, either way, we've obviously taken our hit now. Our costs as a result of that tiered containment, we've taken on a lot of disruption costs to the business. Our data recovery and restorations bill is now mounting. So the CEO and our finance team are really loving this incident. So we can kind of see in live as those values are going up. You guys have been steadily maintaining things like the data exposure and regulatory concerns. Our brand damage took a little bit of a hit there because we didn't isolate everything, but we're doing good. All right, so we're moving along now. Remember, we've only got 2 more injects. I need all the voting and contributions by everyone as we get near to the end. So thank you, everyone. Now, we're more in the eradication phase. So containment is kind of isolating. We've done a lot of work to build up a wall to prevent the bad guy from getting back in or moving around. But now we got to kick them out. So it's Tuesday, T plus 24, so fully day. Everyone's exhausted. Your team has achieved network segmentation and manufacturing continues in isolated mode. However, the eradication phase has revealed the full extent of the compromise and a critical patient safety concern. CyberShield's threat hunting team, so these are the cybersecurity experts, they've basically said, okay, we found lots of bad things. So your Active Directory really had a full compromise there. So that's great. We know that that's the case, so we can do our resetting of passwords. So the CISO should be happy about that. Unfortunately, they've got persistence. So they put in tools that they can come back in. We found that on 23 systems. So these guys were really trying to bed themselves in here. They were installing it on hoping we'd maybe catch a couple and we'd forget these other ones over in this other segment. But CyberShield has done a great job. They've found them. And then obviously database, we've also found malicious stored procedures. So these guys were really in here for the long haul. So great job, CyberShield. Sounds like the CISO's money is well spent.
Do I really have to reset my password? I'm the CEO and I shouldn't have to do that.
Over to you, CISO.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at this point, we're no longer dealing with uncertainty. We have confirmed identity compromise, infrastructure persistence, and potential patient data integrity violation. That changes everything fundamentally.
Are you going to also make me do MFA on this password change?
You should already have MFA. You're like the most important person. So
these are actual questions I've had in incident responses, so that's why I'm
I did have
commenting.
one client, their CEO refused to use MFA, and it's like, you're telling your insurance that you have not 100% MFA everywhere, but you refuse. Like, I don't get it. But here we are.
Okay, back into character. Sorry.
Yeah, this is you guys are right. You guys are being very nice here, but in real scenarios, it's tough, right? It gets gory and people are tired. Okay, so the CISO is advocating for complete Active Directory rebuild. This is a 2 to 3 weeks worth of time, right? Microsoft have come in and said, I've got all these images, we can roll it out for you, but it's going to take ages. So it's going to disrupt you a bit. The CTO argues for accelerated targeted remediation. We can accept a bit of risk, but we gotta press ahead. And then we have different competing views here. But ultimately, we need to have an eradication strategy that balances infrastructure remediation, patient safety verification, and operation recovery. What I need from you guys in the audience, let's do it now. We only have our 10 minutes left, so I need your help to get through this. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Whatever the votes are, we'll proceed. But as you can see, we've got our prioritize patient safety. So halt all prescription processing, conduct a full database forensic audit, and notify 340,000 patients. So your legal bill is going to go through the roof while executing the rebuild of AD. Or prioritize the infrastructure security. So do the AD rebuild the CISO wants, with the new forest implement compensating controls for patient database. And accept a 2 to 3 recovery time. That'll give you, from a PR point of view, if you're looking up here in terms of like our brand damage, that will drive down brand, because people will like that in hindsight as to you doing that type of work. Balanced, perform the work to reset passwords while also implementing database verification against 21-day-old backup to identify discrepancies. So again, still a fair bit of recovery, but more comprehensive. Or just be very operational focused. Deploy enhanced monitoring, compensating control. So basically try and turn on the super robot that can, find evil no matter what, and let's just roll out the network. Let's just put caution to the wind. But that's a really easy one. But in the future, when people find out that's what you did and it didn't go down well, that's the stories we read in the newspaper, such and such made this decision, and so hindsight is an easy thing. So we've got 14 votes here. Correct. Thank you, Christopher. Yeah, let's put that in perspective. What is the bill if someone dies? Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't want people to die on my watch, that's for sure.
There you go. So the amount of money, you know, the board, like, I guess the CEO has had the board meeting, and money is no obstacle. But obviously, the business is trying to ensure it can continue while balancing that. So, guys, what is with some of these competing prioritizations to kick the bad guy out, right? We want to get rid of them now. This is like the, you know, how big is the pill to swallow? So what are we okay with here, considering what we've had to go through? You know, is it like we've already done enough? Costs are already up pretty high. We're trying to minimize those, or what are some of the factors we need to be concerned with? So obviously the CEO has told us we don't want anyone to die. So maybe from the CISO's perspective, you know, what some considerations, concerns we need to have top of mind right now when we're kicking the bad guy out?
Well, I think it's clear here we need to prioritize patient safety. You know, given the golden ticket compromise, we have identity is completely compromised. We have database level prescription manipulation, right, which could impact the patient safety. You know, once that dosage integrity is in question, what we're doing becomes indefensible if we're not focusing on patient safety. So I would recommend halting processing, you know, and continue with the forensics audit, notify patients, and rebuild the identity in parallel. Even though it extends the recovery time, I think our priority is the patient safety at this point.
Agreed.
Yep. And look, CEO will probably sit down with the board and say, look, I'm gonna take a 30 million hit, you know, operationally, and this is the balance, this is the decision we came to. You know, they're not going to be happy, obviously, but now they've been painted the picture. They've been explained what's needed to be done, and you know, patient safety comes first, right?
Yeah, I would only add to that quickly, Stuart. I mean,
Yeah,
the legal
please.
risk around, you know, the loss of human life just sends things through the roof, right? So, I mean, as chief counsel, I have to bang the table and say patient safety, you know, takes the cake and needs to be prioritized just about above all other business interests at this point.
Yeah. I feel less and less inclined to ever want to manage the security for these healthcare providers.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I need those 6 last votes. So in the world of crisis management, right, the crisis leadership team, you're that guy that guy or gal who's sitting down the back of the room, you know, waiting for everyone else to vote before you speak up, you know. So I know who you are. I need those last 6 votes in. But you know, difficult decisions, but obviously you can see what you've been balancing to date, and you've heard from your CEO about your priorities. So on that basis, where do we decide? So let's give that another 20 seconds, and then we'll move ahead to our final inject. And this has been painful. I can only imagine how difficult this cyber attack would have been for the folks on the ground, and the confusion and tough decisions. All right, we're nearly
Well,
there.
it's harder if you've never been through a TTX or you've never discussed these scenarios, you know, internally. This is why it's good to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, tough. It's always easy to kind of spell out what we hope we do, but when it's a tough decisions, all right. So we've got good consensus here. I like it, right? So some law firm is gonna have a 7-figure bill for this. So prioritize patient safety, halt all prescription processing. This is gonna be great for the patients. Obviously, it will cause a delay in some prescriptions, so there may be some short-term consequences for patient safety, but it's going to be transparent, and it's going to be something that the business can say we did this in the best interest. So we can see that the confidence level pretty much maintained there, which is great. You folks are pretty confident, and you've been consistent in what you've been feeling was the right thing, and from your own background. So I appreciate that. This was not an easy one, but good consensus. I like that. And you see that there's 2 and 7, so there's always a differing opinion in the room, and you need that because these are your leaders. They always will say, well, what about this and what about that? It's rarely that it's so, you know, linearly straightforward that everyone votes on the same thing. But we've taken a fair bit of a whack here at business disruption.
Ooh.
Just spiked. So now we're in a not so good place. But you made the decision. Let's live with it. Unfortunately, our bill is kind of racked up a bit there. Now it's probably better that we don't have the commas, so we can just pretend we don't know how much it is.
That's what I was thinking too, Stuart.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'll just tell my wife I'll delay that feature enhancement. Okay, so here we are, guys. Nearly done the recovery phase. So 4 days since the ransomware detonated, and Novapeptide stands at the crossroads. The immediate crisis is stabilized, but the path to normal operations and the company's future position now depends on the decisions you make in the recovery. Current operational status: all known threat actor persistence mechanisms have been eliminated, mainly the 33 Cobalt Strike beacons and the Kerberos reset. So you guys have gone through major pain here. You've spent in terms of external forensics, you've racked up 1.6 million and so on. So you're in the trenches, right? Manufacturing is operating at 85% capacity, so good. And you have a go live date for Saturday at 1800, right? So you've got a flag in the ground. This is our go live date. That's a good thing, and everybody's going to hope you don't have other delays. Pharma Crypt did release 47,000 patient records before going silent 36 hours. No further communications has been released. Law enforcement has identified the threat actor as Chimera Collective, a ransomware operator, Russian Nexus indicators. Your cyber insurance claim has been conditionally approved for 12.4, pending further incident documentation. And the patient advocacy groups have called for public inquiry into the standards. 2 pharmacy chains have formally terminated distribution agreements, citing material breach of service reliability. So our legal team is going to be busy for the next 6 months. The regulator has requested a formal incident report. Your stock price has dropped 18%. Sorry, CEO, but I know you'll help get it back. Analysts are waiting for your Friday investor call. The competitor companies have launched an aggressive marketing campaign. Recovery options: full logistical go live on Saturday. Will restore normal distribution capacity. In your PR firm's Prep 2 comm strategies, one is the transparent accountability versus the controlled narrative. So this is what I want you guys to help me with. Obviously, there's the moral aspect, and I know it in the chat and then everywhere. It's always going to be about, it's the patient safety. There is no question about that. But in terms of the complicated decisions that are there, I want everyone to help me with what would be the last thing we need to get over, which is to just try and let the public live with the consequences of what has happened to our organization. And hopefully what we do in this inject, 3 weeks from now, we're no longer in the news. So my ask of you is vote on one of the 4 options here that gets us out of the news in the next 3 weeks. If we don't do this right, we could be in the news for the next 12 weeks. And that's a pain we don't want to be in. Transparent accountability, or a more of a control confidence, or really just super regulatory aligned, or are we stakeholder segmentation focus, having different messages for different audiences? So what do we think is apt, considering what damages you've gone through and where you are? Noting we really can't take another hit on the business disruption. So what do we think is good for us, good for our customers, good for the patients, and good for right now? So I need your vote, and we can let you go as soon as you do the voting. But yeah, this is your chance to help us put this part to bed. And while those last votes come in, Any comments from our executive leadership team in terms of what they feel is a must right now?
Showing our confidence to make sure that people believe in us moving forward is critical, because we have that outstanding financial impact that's going to delay us. However, if we're in the news longer than any expected time, it will make it worse. So I
Gotcha.
believe that having that confidence to showing that we have a plan of attack and that flag to go, and better and improved quality, not only on our technology components, but our medical components, I think is where we need to be.
Gotcha. Let's see if we can get to that 20. Can we do it? Can we get that one last vote in? I'll give you $50. Oh, we got 3 of them. I rescind.
I'll send you my Venmo, Stuart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I only use Revolut. Sorry, it only works in Europe. Brilliant. Recommended stakeholder segmentation. Oh, okay. Very interesting. So this is really split down the line here, guys. You didn't like, I think you would have had a very contentious conversation in the boardroom here. So we had transparent accountability that just lost out to stakeholder segmentation. That is very interesting, and we can see the confidence level went up. So yeah, you guys were bullish on that, and you felt though as though preparing different messages for different audiences, detailing technical disclosure for regulators, patient empathy messaging for consumers. So really, that's it's I understand what you're doing there, but obviously it's a very calculated one. It can fly back in your face, but I like the fact that this is the decision you went with, and consequently you know, you got us to where we are. So a bit more disruption there. Like I said, that can really slap you back in the face when you're giving different messages, but you helped us, you know, from the regulatory part, you helped us bring that down because you tailored the messaging. So that was good. So here's where you ended up in your total bill. It's in euros, by the way, guys. So you're gonna have to multiply it by 1.2 if you want US dollars. But yeah.
4 days ago, we faced the worst attack in this company's history. Today, our manufacturing lines are running. Our patients are getting their medication.
Oh. Looks like our patients aren't getting their medication.
Don't tell me it's come back. Just got everybody back up and running.
It's a cyber attack. It's okay.
Happen by accident. It happened because of the people in this room. You made impossible decisions with incomplete information. You balanced patient safety against operational reality. And when it mattered most, you held the line. We still have work ahead. Regulatory filings, patient outreach, rebuilding trust with our partners. But we face that work as a stronger team than we were on Monday. Thank you, all of you.
Well, congratulations, guys. We went 3 minutes over, so I do apologize about that. But as I warned at the beginning, I am not good with time management. It goes without saying that this application was built by me, hence why it's the clinical word is called janky. It basically means when you don't know how to write code, you end up with a product like this. However, like a few folks on the call, I've been part of actual live incidents like this, so I feel more the trauma than anything. The tool is just there to help us all see the consequences. And in the future, this product will be integrated into the Ali security platform. So anybody who wants to use something like this, they can use it from their Ali security platform in the next couple of months. But other than that, thank you so much. Big round of applause, obviously, to our C-suite here, who really balanced the line between brilliant insights, but also like pushing us along, right? So well done to those. Obviously, our audience in the chat, you've been fantastic. Though, you know, the guys and girls who left those decisions to the very end, I know who you are. I know you know, I'm definitely going to bump into you at some event in the future, and I'll give out to you for not voting faster. But other than that, thank you so much, guys, for joining, and I'll hand it over to Rob for some final words, and then we'll close up.
Thanks, Stuart.
Yeah, thanks, Stuart. That was great. Thanks to all our panelists. We will be sending out a follow-up email. It'll have a survey. It'll have a little bit of info on the report. So if you want to view that, you'll get a link and you'll be able to do it. And otherwise, tell your friends. We're doing this once a month, and we want to bring new faces every month and make it more exciting. And we bring in we'll do totally different types of scenarios, so nothing will ever look the same again. So thanks again to all of our attendees, people in the comments section. This was great, and we'll see you next month.
Bye, guys.
So long.